So more apartments are being built in 2025 than in any other year. And guess where they're all going to? They're all going to Texas and Florida. As a matter of fact, Houston is the one who's leading the charge with 7,770 units being built by the end of 2025. This is all according to Yardi Matrix and Rents Cafe. I want to go to why is this happening, but first I think most people are wondering, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for you? If you're a renter within the next few weeks or months, as a matter of fact, if you're a renter within the next 1 or 2 weeks, I got a solid, very good gem. Stick to the end and I will reveal that for you. But if you're within these next few weeks or months, what does this mean for you? And spoiler alert, it's a very good news. But also, if you're in the works or you're in the in-betweens of whether you want to buy or purchase a property versus rent, I'm in the works of making a video for those people who are in the in-betweens of, do I want to buy a house? What are the pros and cons? Or should I just rent? And I think a lot of people are in that debate. So video coming soon. But to understand what does this mean for you, if you're looking to move anytime soon, we need to look at the data a little bit more specific. So due to the oversupply, we're starting to see developers pull back and we're starting to see vacancies go up. Vacancies for both apartments and home property rentals. And it's important to look at both. Translation, there is a lot of supply, meaning there's a lot of apartment units that need to be rented out, but there aren't very many renters. So if you know supply and demand, there is a lot of supply, meaning, again, that's why vacancies are up. Apartments need to rent out those units, meaning there are going to be very good deals and very good concessions for you as a renter. So due to the oversupply of these rental units, you have the opportunity to get a very great deal, lock in that price for about 12 months and stay, because the trend right now is prices are not going up. Back in 2021, 22, rental prices were going up. Right now they're about flat, and they're looking to come down as well. So if you're in an apartment unit and your prices are going up, what are you doing? Get out of there. I do know that some people don't have the flexibility or the ability to just get up and move for a better rental price. It's totally fine. But again, if you have the ability to move and your rents are going up. So the better question right now is how do I get my hands on these sweet deals and concessions? And I do want to get to that, but first, let's go back to the why. Why is this happening? So if you remember back in 2020, there was an influx of people coming to Texas and Florida. That's one of the reasons why these developers saw a great opportunity. Hey, there's a bunch of people coming in, whether they were coming from California because of the COVID or New York, and some people were moving for political reasons or simply because California, they were just tired of it, or just people want to move. Developers saw that as an opportunity, and also land here in Texas, in Houston specifically, is pretty cheap, so they can get their hands on that undeveloped land to develop it, and their margins are pretty big. So job growth is another reason why a lot of people started moving here, because of job opportunities. I think Tesla was one of them that they moved their Gigafactory over here. I think Eli Lilly just started their breaking ground for their huge factory. I think so. It's just a lot of companies are starting to move to Texas for whatever reason, and so there's that job growth, population growth, and pro business policies. A lot of Texas and Florida, they tend to be a little bit more business friendly. So that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of business coming here, which creates a population influx. And, it's a good opportunity for a lot of people. So if we have all these people concentrated or coming into Houston, and you got all these developers trying to get on that trend, that's a recipe for not a disaster, but yes, a disaster in a good way if you're a renter, in a bad way if you're one of those developers. So now let's get into what everybody has been waiting for, the how. How do I get these sweet deals and very great concessions? Well, let's start with the very first one, and it has to do with that oversupply of apartment complexes. So most apartment units want to be over that 90% vacancy rate. So they want to be 95% booked or 95% rented out. And if they're under that, they're in the red zone. And looking at some of the apartments, they're around that 70 to 80%. They're in that red zone. They're in a way, they're kind of desperate. They need to find people to get that vacancy rate down. And one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't going to tell you is because to create these buildings to for these developers, they needed investors, and these investors have to get paid. They made that contract and they have to get paid. And so where do they get that money? Obviously they get it from the renters. And if these properties are not being rented out, the investors are not getting paid, and these investors have to get paid somehow, somewhere. And so again, that's one of the reasons why these properties are desperate for people coming in. So that's the number one thing. What is their vacancy rate? If their vacancy rate is under 92 or 90%, they're going to have very good deals and very good concessions. Now, here's the thing. If you go into an apartment complex and you're a renter, and if you ask what is your vacancy rate, do you think that they're going to give that to you? Most likely they won't, because they're showing their cards, they're showing how desperate they are. If they tell you, hey, our vacancy rate is 70. So most likely, if you have an apartment locator or if you have a realtor, they might be able to do it if they're in the apartment locating scene. If not, hit me up. I'll find you a local apartment locator in your area, and we can help you get those sweet, sweet deals. Number two, you have to look at what is the current market supply in that specific area. So whatever area you're trying to move into, you want to look at what is the market supply. How many apartments are there? How many units are available? And not just apartment units, but also home rentals, because they're also competing for that rental tenant. Now, most people that are looking for apartments, they're going to be specific in apartments, but they can also dabble into the home rentals, and so that'll take away from the apartments. You have to put yourself in the eyes of, let's say, a landlord or an apartment manager. These are people that are looking for tenants to get into their to their properties, right? So they're going to be putting money into marketing. They're going to be using real estate agents so that they can show their property or show that apartment complex. So that's number two. You have to look at the market supply. And again, you can. I'll give you something that you can do where you don't have to necessarily go to an apartment locator or a realtor. And number three, it's kind of for the people that are already rented and are probably thinking about or looking at buying a property. Should you buy a property? Should you stay in apartments? And here's the key that you can. Here's the thing that you can do by yourself. This is a little secret that can help you in not only in your apartment searching for an apartment where you can see the data of the concentration of the market supply, but it can also help you determine and figure out whether you can or whether it makes sense to buy a property and get a mortgage or stay renting. Now, here's what you have to do. So you go online, you go to Zillow.com. If you ever heard of this website, it's pretty good, and it will tell you. You just look at. You can either put the zip code of the area that you're looking at, or if you have an idea of a specific property, search up that property, and right here, right before you scroll down, you don't even have to scroll down. You'll see estimated monthly payments. This property is 1508. Now, here's what you have to do. You look at the prices of the rental units, right? And then you look at the price of how much a mortgage would be at the price of that property, right? So basically, you're comparing apples to somewhat apples, because apartments apartment rental units is not the same as getting a mortgage. It's totally different, but at the same time, with the numbers, you can make it make sense so that you start to compare apples to apples. What do I mean by that? In a rental unit complex, let's say an apartment or renting a house, you all you have to worry about is the rent, right? That's all you're paying for. But if you're owning a property, you have other expenses. You have not only the mortgage, but you might have HOA fees. You're gonna have some kind of maintenance expenses. You're gonna have other expenses. So if you're able to put that into the mortgage, and then compare that to the rental units, then you're kind of comparing apples to apples in that sense. So let's recap. Number one, vacancy rates. You want to know what the vacancy rate is. If it's under 90%, then most likely they will have good rates and good concessions. Now, again, if you need a real estate agent or an apartment locator, hit me up. I can serve you here in Houston. And if you're not in Houston, I can help you find someone that works in apartments specifically. Number two is looking at the concentration of the market supply. What is going on? What is going on around in that area? And number three is using a good comparable to compare rents and mortgages. And if that makes sense, then go for it. Since you stuck around to the end of the video, here's that very special gem that I was talking about. And a lot of apartments are a little bit low key, but I was able to get the inside scoop from a leasing agent. And here's the deal: you're able to, if you're moving in, if you're trying to move in within the next week or 2 weeks, you're able to qualify for up to 8 weeks of free rents plus $200 of extra concessions for whatever expenses up into the deposit or whatever it is that you need those $200 for the application. And this is for any bedroom. So they have 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, any size. If you're needing to move in within those next week or 2 weeks, you do qualify for that free 8-week rent. Now, here's a few extra details that can serve you as well. If you're not trying to move in within the next 1 or 2 weeks, that's fine. If you get a 1-bedroom apartment, that's 4 weeks free. And if you get the lower tier, which is the lower square footage of the 2 bedrooms, you're able to qualify for 6 weeks free. And again, if you have to move in within those 2 weeks for whatever bedroom, 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, you're able to qualify for 8 weeks free. Free rent, and that extra $200 for extra concessions. Now, that gem that I was telling you about is basically using those apartment locators, because locators have already gone to different apartment units and they looked at what the amenities are versus you having to go to this apartment, that apartment, and then asking, because you can't, if you do ask for the vacancy rate, most likely they're not going to give it to you. And then number two is you're going to have to ask, what are your prices and what are your concessions? And they might not give it to you then because they want to be able to know what your situation is and sell you or upsell you. So get an apartment locator, have them represent you. And here's the other gem: you're not gonna have to pay for that apartment locator. Why? Because each apartment complex has a designated fund for marketing, and some of that marketing money is used for apartment locators. Some of that money is used for just marketing in general, ads, going out and doing all the marketing that they have to do. And so the apartment unit pays us to give you that service, right? So again, you don't have to come out of pocket for us to help you and make your life easier. But one of the things that we love to do is help you get those sweet deals and get those good concessions so that you can lock in a good rate for that amount of time that you're going to be there. And hopefully that the trend stays at that price and you can hold that price for a very long time. But yeah, hit me up if you want to work with me. And if not, again, I can help you find someone in your area. Good luck hunting and good luck finding your next apartment.